Hi, you're watching Hexus TV. Now, when the first DX11 cards came out in the 5800 series, you'd be looking at spending upwards of around £250 to £300 to be able to make the jump to DX11. Now, with me today is Bill from Sapphire, who's going to talk to us about some of the lower end stuff coming out now for as little as around about £30, £40. Is that right, Bill?
That's right, yes.
Okay. So tell us what you got.
Well, the first card we introduced recently was the 5450, which is a low-profile card that supports DirectX 11 and therefore Windows 7 with all the features that involves.
So you get all the special effects that DX11 brings in, depth of field and all that sort of thing,
yeah,
and tessellation and all that. Okay.
Now, obviously, being a relatively low-cost, low-performance card, it's not really aimed at the gamer. It's aimed more at people who want to use DirectX 11's features for other applications, and also has built into it a dual UVD, universal video decoder, so it's an ideal solution for media centres.
Okay, so when you say the DX11 features but not really aimed at gaming, could you give us a quick sort of like, you know, what kind of things that you'd be expecting to see there?
Well, a lot of the things that are in DirectX 11 will be coming through in other applications. So really, it's a case of future-proofing.
Oh, right, I see. So this is basically for someone who's doing maybe a new build, or maybe they're doing a hand-me-down PC and they want to keep their high-end card for their PC and put a new card, this one, in the other one?
I think this one really is aimed more at a media center type application.
Okay, gotcha.
So it has got the capability to support ATI streams. So, for example, it can do video transcoding and those kinds of things.
Right, okay.
And as I mentioned, it's got a dual UVD, which is a video decoder, so it can decode your DVDs and Blu-rays and run very smoothly. Even if you have a relatively low power CPU, it'll still give you smooth streaming of your video applications.
Okay, but why a dual UVD? What's the advantage there?
Well, basically, this generation of cards allows you to do that, so you can actually simultaneously stream two 1080p streams.
Okay, so you can throw one out to one screen and one somewhere else, or you can do decoding with one whilst playing one, that kind of thing?
Yes.
Oh, all right, okay. And any little, I mean, it's obviously it's passively cooled, so it's going to be nice and quiet. But I noticed on the back there, is that DisplayPort? Is that?
We actually do two models of this one. One of them has the configuration of DVI, DisplayPort and VGA.
Yeah.
The DisplayPort on this means that you can actually support ATI's Eyefinity, which is the ability to support 3 monitors simultaneously, even on this low-end card. Now, again, I'm not suggesting that it's suitable for gaming on this card, but it does mean that if you're doing a 2D application, something like Photoshop or desktop processing, something like that, then you can have the ability to work on a much bigger screen area supported by the card.
Okay, so if you basically wanted to run three panels doing pretty much any sort of like 2D desktop kind of thing, then that would be
absolutely perfect.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So maybe lots of guys in the city where they're all standing around in their braces with their ponytails, or is that 280s for sort of like the buy and sell and all that kind of thing?
Well, yes. I mean, I think we would see this kind of card going into systems integrated for that kind of application, information systems, that kind of thing, rather than, as I said before, not so much for the gaming community. Okay.
All right. And then so you got another little baby here. So what's this one here? The 5570. I'll grab that one.
Okay, so 5570 is basically the next one up. So what we've been doing really is filling in the spectrum of 5000 series cards, all of them supporting DirectX 11, all of them having the features that we've been talking about, supporting Eyefinity if it has a DisplayPort output and things like that.
Yep.
So this one is going to retail around about £60, that kind of ballpark.
Right.
Has 400 stream processors, so the kind of applications we were just talking about for video transcoding, those kinds of things, it's got a bit more oomph.
Okay, all right, and so where
for the occasional gamer, that would be an adequate solution, although obviously the enthusiast game would want to buy something much higher up the range.
So this is a bit of a Sims 3 card rather than a Dirt 2.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it does actually support, obviously, as we said already, all the DirectX 11 features.
Yeah.
It's just you wouldn't expect to run a really high resolution solution from it.
Okie dokie. And so you're saying about media systems. I mean, you could put this one in there because it seems to have a really tiny fan, or does that spin quite fast, or is this still fairly quiet?
It's still pretty quiet because both of these cards we're talking about are in the new very low power technology, so they're not actually taking very much power from the power supply, very low power consumption, so low heat and running quiet. Obviously, the passive cooled one is totally quiet, and this one we've engineered to have a relatively quiet fan. It just needs a little bit of air movement across it to keep the temperatures within limits.
Okay.
And obviously, the other thing is that some of the low-profile cases are not very well ventilated, so this does actually help to move a bit of airflow around.
Well, that's what I was going to say, actually, is in terms of low profile, that's actually a full height bracket, is it not?
It is, yes, but the card itself is low profile, and so is the other one we were looking at.
Yeah.
So what we've been able to do this time is to provide in the package the brackets that you need to fit it into a slimline enclosure. So you've got 2 low profile brackets, one for the actual card itself and one to take the cable from the VGA connector on top.
Yeah.
And you can just run them side by side in a low profile chassis.
And I noticed that's the same for the 5450 there as well. One question I've got to ask though, if I for some reason bought the DisplayPort version, but I wanted to run HDMI, do I still get the dongle that comes with it on the DVI?
It's not actually bundled with the cards, but it is the same dongle as working with the rest of the 5000 series, so it should be available separately.
Okay, and it still streams the audio out through the card as well. If I
yeah, all of these series of cards, you get the full digital audio out from the HDMI.
Okay, fantastic. So I guess these are already to market, are they?
They are, yes. They're in the channel now and available from most of our regular e-tailers and retailers.
Right, and so give us a rough price on this one.
The 5450 is around about £38 end user price, and the 5570 prices are just stabilising. Should be around about £60 odd.
Okay, and what do I get in the bundle itself? Obviously, apart from the brackets, is there anything else that you get in the box with the bundle?
Well, obviously you get the normal sort of cables and driver CD and all that stuff, but we also do bundle in there an application which is called Sim HD,
right?
And it's an example of a use of ATI Stream. It actually improves the image quality when you're using things like Instant Messenger and things like that with the video turned on.
Okay, so but isn't that kind of like the HD bit limited by your bandwidth, or does it?
Well, ultimately, yes. But I mean, what this is basically doing is helping to smooth the image that you see on the screen when you're doing that kind of video communication.
Okay, so you don't get that.
It's just an application where the actual video processing part is accelerated by the graphics card rather than done on the main CPU. So it just offloads the CPU, offloads it from the CPU. I mean, ATI Stream, there will be a whole load of more and more applications supporting that. We're basically taking some of the crunch from off your CPU onto the processors in the graphics card.
Okay, all right. And then just wrapping up, really, where do these sit? Because obviously these are the low end of like, you know, the 55 series. Where do these sit compared with, say, I don't know, the previous generation, so like, you know, Sapphire ATI cards? Where do they come in terms of performance there?
Well, we had cards at a similar level. I mean, the main difference is this is the first generation in this price range to support the features of DirectX 11 and therefore properly Windows 7 compatible, which is what we talked about in the beginning.
Yeah, okay. So if I'm dropping back to DX9 though, would I be looking at, I don't know, the high-end previous?
No, I mean, you would probably find that for the same price, you could get a card like a 4670, which is still available, which is only a DirectX 9 and DirectX 10 card, but gives a little bit better performance than these for those kind of gaming applications.
But then you're not future-proofed, I guess.
That's right. And you're not really properly supporting the new features of Windows 7.
Oh, right. So there's no point having upgraded your OS either then.
No.
Okay. All right. Well, so there you go. That is the. I've got to get these numbers right because Bill always hates when I get it wrong. So you've got the HD 5450 and the HD 5517. He's making it half me because he's got his thumb over the number from Sapphire, retailing for 30 to 40 quid and around 65ish, something like that. So check back soon on Hexus TV for more graphical know-how from me and Bill. Well, mainly Bill, but Tarina's going to be joining us on the sofa as well to talk about the Sapphire HD 5850 Toxic and Vapor X versions.